I just wanted to give you a little update on how things have been going. Um, Again, I talked with my parents this weekend, or this week I should say, because it wasn't the same weekend. I talked to one parent last weekend and one parent this weekend. Talking to family about gender issues is really difficult if they're close family members. If you've grown up with them, if they've seen you your whole life, it's the closest connection you have in terms of familiarity, hence family. So it's not easy, and I perfectly understand the fact that my close family members are not supportive of what I'm doing. When I initially had told my family in December, I told my brothers more because I thought it would be easier for them to handle more, and we each talked separately for a few hours each. And, things pretty much continued as they always do after that. And when I talked to my parents, I did not tell them everything I was doing. So now I've told them everything that I'm doing, and I don't necessarily have to hear that, their reaction to know what it was going to be. And still, even though I was prepared, it was still very difficult to say, and I'm sure it was difficult for them too. I don't know how things will go from here on out. I talked a lot with my father this weekend, and I want to mention something that happened. I got very emotional, but it was not something I wanted to do. I felt myself starting to cry when I said something, and it was something that I had said earlier on in the day. I've said it a few times, and I was saying it to him after we'd already been talking for hours, to try to help understand why, even though it's really hard to get to the why in anything. And I got angry at myself because I was trying to express something important, and I was starting to cry, and it was difficult to say it because I was starting to cry. But what I said was, I believe people make their decisions based on how they feel, and that's based on their whole life experience. And then they form reasons and logic around that to help justify their feelings and make them feel that they're the correct feelings to have. That's not to say people's feelings don't change, but people's feelings usually don't change based on pure reasoning alone. They have to have that feeling that it's the right thing. Again, if you don't have strong feelings towards something, then maybe you can just change your mind based on rationality or logic. And that's what I basically said, that when you feel something, the reason is really from the heart, and you can try to explain it to somebody and make a rational discussion about why. But I think it ultimately comes down to what you feel is right. And I think when you try to just justify it with a lot of extra rationality, you just get into more arguments when it's really based on your experience and your feeling. and which also relates to like the Supreme Court hearing where they wanted the judge to be perfectly just following the law, as if they basically want someone who's not human, who can just look at the facts in the case and determine it based on the law. And the whole reason we have judges is so they can apply, their whole experience, from their education to their life experience. You want a judge who has experience of life to judge a case. You don't want somebody who's just sat in front of books. You want somebody who's, who brings more to the table than that. To really, you talk about empathy as being something bad, but I don't think you have any human value if you have no empathy. You just become like a robot. So, I don't cry often, and maybe that'll change in the future. It was just something that I felt strongly about, and I understood he wasn't getting it, and I just wanted to try to put that out there, and I will continue to try to do that. So as far as where things go from here, I'm going to talk about it with my counselor. There's a lot of things he said that I will take to heart and talk with my counselor about it. He mentioned seeing other counselors. I've heard that from my brother. So, it's a long path transition, so it's not like I'm going to, it takes people time to understand. It took me a long time. I don't feel like I'm in the wrong. I feel like I've led a good life and I've tried to do good things. And my father said I was, in the past, the most honest person that he knew. And to go from that to where I am now, I think it's a lot to deal with for both of us. And I'll just leave you with my feelings that ultimately the reality of things, and I really believe the reality is not what we expect, especially in the case of a parent in this situation. They're expecting the worst, and I know people in general who don't understand and haven't done research and haven't talked to people, that they expect the worst when somebody does something like this, makes these type of changes to their life. In my experience, things are always work out better than that, and it's at least I'm hopeful that things will work out. So it's just another step forward. So it's not necessarily going to get any easier, but eventually I will get to where I need to be, and it's up to everyone else to get to where they want to be with their lives. So stay strong.